Welcome back to Switch to Linux. It is Monday and it is time for another Linux Top 5. And today I'm going to talk about the 5 reasons I switched back to Lineage. Oh boy. So we have this craziness going on in the phones in our world. And I swear, man, pretty soon I might just very well find myself back to a dumb phone. The reality is it'd probably be a lot better for the things that I need phones for anyway. I'm not a huge fan of using smartphone stuff. I don't use any banking apps. I don't really do anything on that it's outside the realm of anything, anything basic. I use a smartphone because text messaging is easier. I want to be able to check email on the road, look up quick internet things on the road, and share my internet connection. That's really the reason I use a smartphone. I am not a typical smartphone user. And with that, of course, we have three major branches. There's a lot of other little ROMs out there. There's things like, I bought an Nexus 5X because it has the most compatibility of all your custom ROMs. So there's things like Plasma Mobile that I really wanted to work with a little bit, but it's not even close to a production level phone. And so sadly, that's not much of an option. There's a lot of other custom ROMs that are all based on something like Lineage, and so you have that going for you. So I looked everything over, and we have Lineage, which is a Google free, high support, highly active project. We have Copperhead based on rock hard security, and we have Google based upon glabbing everything and creating your own Google ledger and tracking everything you do. And so you have to ask yourself, what are the things you need? If you need to use regular Google services in your life, stick with a stock Google. If you need to do a lot more security hardened things, Copperhead is a better OS to use. For my case, I found that as much as I'm vehemently against their silly April Fool's pranks, I found that for me, Lineage is the best option, and I'm going to talk about the reasons why that is as we walk through our list here today. So let's go ahead and dive on in. Number 5, I had some issues with some of the apps and options that I really prefer my phone to use. Things that made the phone easy to use that no idea why some of these weren't involved, or things like stuff wasn't working. So now, of course, there are a few things I didn't like about Android 8, and my Lineage build was Android 7, although I can put Android 8 on it. I'm not going to talk about any of those differences that I know of. But the one major app I was having issues with is I really need my phone to work for email, and Canine Mail is what I use as my mail client because I have so many different emails that I check. The thing would not allow me to forward or to write new messages. Canine Mail would just crash. I don't know if that had to do with the new version of Canine Mail or Copperhead or Android 8. I don't know. I had the latest Canine Mail. I had the latest Android, the latest build on Copperhead. The app could not forward messages. It could not write new messages. I could reply. I just couldn't do anything else. Well, that's kind of problematic if email is one of the main reasons I want that. We'll talk more about this next, but I had some issues with Open Camera. We'll get into that one on my number 4 point because that's a separate issue. The default stock camera on it is bad, and if you use your phone for a lot of camera stuff, Copperhead's camera built in is not very good. We were also missing the buttons option inside of the GUI, which allowed me to do things like, have a hotkey to turn on my flashlight, which doesn't seem like a lot, but that's certainly an important thing. And there were times even turning on my flashlight, I needed to enter the passcode. Really? To turn on my flashlight? I mean, okay, I get it, maybe. But there were just a few of those little options. There were just a couple tiny little things. Certain apps wouldn't work right. Just a couple little issues that were causing me a few problems. So that was my number 5. Number 4, external microphone issues. So one of the things that I didn't mention earlier that is very important for me is I use my phone a lot to record some of my outdoor videos. I have a mount for my phone. I carry that around with me. I do 2 of my 3 videos on my Christian channel on that. I do some of my footage on the cooking channel on that, and I do a couple of the videos on the Linux channel here on the phone. And what I found is that I cannot plug in an external microphone. I use the Meteor mic, very nice, high quality microphone for my recording, and it has a nice carry bag, very easily portable. The problem is that Copperhead OS would not allow you to use the external microphone. Well, it technically did. It just recorded your audio out of sync. It seems as though it's a problem with the rate that it pulls in the wrong speed rate. So you might be able to fix it if you built your own. But I had too many issues building Copperhead. Build instructions would go on and off. The Reddit page would sometimes become password protected. Their build options didn't work. Even as of this morning, I've been trying to build one for somebody else's phone, and I had issue after issue after issue after issue. Finally, I was like, I'm going to try one more time, tried today, and the get pages were all down for that. I mean, and it's just too many issues with it. And so while there might be a fix to fix this external microphone, I think it's pulling in the wrong kilobit range or the wrong frequency range. That's what seems to be indicated. And on phones where you could adjust that, I could have fixed it, but there's no way to adjust that. And so I had issues with running an external microphone attached to the phone. And that's one of those core things I need my phone for. So that's my number 4. Number 3, fewer customizations. Now, I already mentioned earlier the buttons section was missing, but also the top panel section was missing. So the ability to move your clock to various places, configuring what items are where in your screens, and as I already mentioned, the button setups. Those were all missing from Copperhead. At least I believe they were. I don't recall encountering those at any point in time. And so those were certainly things that they're minor, but really to make the device your own, to set it up your own way. I love more customization options than fewer. I'll lump into this section here as well, the GUI. I really like the GUI, and particularly how the apps menu shows up in Lineage better than I like it in the stock Google, where it would just give you all of your apps just in one big grid. I like Lineage that it gives you an alphabetized list sort of grid, a little bit different. And for that, I thought it was a lot easier to find the apps that I didn't want necessarily on my home screen, but I had the option to use nonetheless. So that's my number 3, is fewer customizations. Number 2, ADB Root. This is where we are really starting to get into the core things that I really want my device to do. If I happen to have kids, I would have to, and I would let them have a smartphone. I absolutely want to be able to do things like push a custom host file on. What Lineage allowed me to do that Copperhead did not on this same device is have ADB Root, which means that I can access the root file menu, the root system files, with my USB cable when securely logged into the computer. Now, you can see where if somebody has access to the passcode of the phone, that could introduce some security things, but this is one of those things. It's that give and take. I don't want to trust Copperhead to block certain things from the phone. I want to have a little bit of control to do that. I could root the device possibly, but rooting a device gives everything access to the root level. The ADB Root allowed me to get in there as root one time, make a couple adjustments, particularly to my host file, pull back those privileges and shut those options down. And that was huge because it allowed me to customize my host file, which means that my device is blocked from every known ad tracker, every known crypto coin miner, all sorts of other sites I don't want there to be any access to, just a lot of things. And as I update my file, it takes me less than 5 minutes to securely get in my phone and push some adjustments to that file. That means I'm using a whole lot less data and my phone moves a whole lot faster. And I'm not risking, if somebody does happen to get an app in there with one of the crypto coin miners, it's blocked anyway. The ADB Root is the biggest reason I switched back to Lineage. There were two core issues. That's the external microphone and ADB Root, because this allows me to customize my host file without messing with rebuilding the entire operating system and reflashing an entire thing. I can simply make a quick adjustment. And that is huge. And yes, there's add-ons you can add to browsers, but that doesn't stop apps. The root host file is the best thing you can do. ADB Root allows me to make adjustments to the individual files. Also, by the way, what I can do with that is I could get in there and I could make other adjustments very easily, very securely. Just anything else that I know of in a system file that might need adjusted, I could do that with that function. So that's a very important core functionality that this was probably the biggest reason I switched back, is to have the ability to push that custom host file on my device. Well, before we get into our number one spot, I'll let you know how you can help support the channel. Check out switchtolinux.com/support. You can learn about all of the ways you can help support what we're doing at Switch to Linux. I do have a Patreon page, patreon.com/TomM. And you can get things like t-shirts, coffee cups, and I have a cool mouse pad over here too. You can pick up at shop.switchtolinux.com. So now, our number one. Are we ready? Number one is more devices. It is fair to say there are a ton load more of devices for Lineage OS than for Copperhead. So as long as you're looking for just a standard, halfway through, there is a little bit more security. There's more customizability. It's not super hardened, but it doesn't have all the Google tracking stuff. Lineage OS makes more sense because there are a whole lot more devices out there that support it. So to give you the idea, here is what Copperhead supports. Now, you can build Copperhead with a variety of different devices if you can manage to get it built. I've been trying for 3 weeks to build Copperhead. It won't work. There's too many issues, too many bugs, things keep changing, and there's user guides are all over. One person said in the Reddit forums, guys, this is not computer science because science implies reproducibility. And I agree, hands down. I could not get Copperhead built at all. Multiple systems, multiple build guides, multiple issues, try to resolve problems. I'm done. I'm done giving up. I'm done with wasting my time on it. If you happen to have one of the few devices that you could just download it, it works great. So these are the officially supported devices on Copperhead. You go over to Lineage. Your list is over here. You start by picking your brand, and then now you go into what you want. So there are just a variety of different devices. It's not even fair to say how many more or less. So regardless, whatever you're looking for, you can probably find some things to do inside of each of these. So there it is. Those are the reasons I personally switched back to Lineage OS. I don't like the pranks that they're pulling. I'm going to push against it really hard next year, see what they do. But if I want a reasonably secure, track-free phone that does what I need it to do, Lineage just happened to be the middle ground. Sorry, Copperhead, I gave you a good month of use. But after a good month of use, there were just too many non-negotiables for me and how I use my device. So that's kind of my take. What are your takes? Are you using custom ROMs? Let me know down in the comments below. So thank you for watching, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.